Hi everyone, my name is Rose, also known as TA Summers. Welcome back to my channel. So for this video, this is my first video in quite some time after a little bit of an unexpected hiatus. I originally wanted to do kind of a mid-month wrap-up of everything that I wanted to read in the month of September, basically like a little bit later than what was actually mid-month, but due to unfortunate circumstances, I've had to push that video for like a whole month wrap up. So that video is still coming with some of the footage that I originally had for the mid-month stuff, but I just decided to move it to the end of the month and give myself a little bit more time to fit a few more books in before I do a full wrap up of that. So the current video is going to be another tag that I recently found. This is the BookTube Reading Habits tag that was created by the Book Jazz in 2012. So I thought I would go through the 11 questions that are on this list to give you all a bit more insight in terms of what my actual reading habits are and what I usually do when I'm reading. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first question in the BookTube Reading Habits tag is, do you have a certain place in your home for reading? I do not have a designated place. I usually read wherever I'm most comfortable. Sometimes that may be in my living room. Sometimes it may be in my kitchen, but listening to an audiobook while I'm trying to do something, washing dishes, or if I'm letting a pot try to boil, I will be reading something actively. Sometimes I read right before bed. I'll find a chair like in either my living room or my study, or I will read like at my bed to kind of like wind down for the night, like usually in the evenings. Question number 2 is bookmark or random piece of paper? Depends. I usually prefer bookmarks. I have a large collection of bookmarks that I use either when I'm on the go or whether I'm at home, that I've collected from various different places. Some of them are handmade, some of them I have printed off in previous like handcrafting projects. Some of them are ones that I bought from different places like indie bookstores or around places that I've traveled, or in things like Barnes and Noble and places like that. I think the oldest bookmark that I have came actually from a Scholastic book fair that I still have. I think it's a Goosebumps one. And then another one I think is a hand woven one that was made by a Native American seamstress. So I have a number of different bookmarks that I use for my books. Sometimes I will use a random piece of paper, like if let's say for example I'm actually like in between like shopping and things like that, I will use a receipt to mark my place in a book if I'm in between things. So that's basically whatever is available, but I do prefer bookmarks. The third question for the BookTube Reading Habits tag is, can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter, a certain amount of pages? So usually I try to stop after I finish a chapter, since it's a clear delineation between things that I read, and so that way the next time I pick it up I can start back from the book in a good stopping place. Sometimes if I'm too tired, then like I'll stop after a dividend within a specific chapter, so I know that I at least complete that particular scene or section of a book. But other than that, I have to have a designated stopping place to make sure that when I pick up the book again, then I can start back with a fresh start and kind of like reorient myself accordingly. So the fourth question is, do you eat or drink while reading? Yes, I absolutely do. One of the reasons why I like picking up mass market paperbacks or books that are easy to fit in my bag is that they're very portable or ready to go on the go. I also have an e-reader, so like I will have food or drink with my e-reader when I'm out on the go and I'm eating or drinking. I also do eat or drink with the books that I read at home, usually like when I have lunch or dinner and I have some quiet time to myself, then I will usually read during that time. So the fifth question on the BookTube Reading Habits tag is multitasking, music or TV while reading. It really depends on what I'm doing. So usually I will read silently, but If I'm watching TV and it's during a commercial break, then I will like pick up a book and I will read for a certain amount of time. So usually those books are not that long, or if it's for a designated section that I can stop very easily, then I will be able to put the book down and then get back to watching whatever I'm watching on TV. Um, for music, I usually read in to music that does not have words. So that way my concentration is unbroken. And of course, I don't watch TV or listen to music when I'm listening to audiobooks. Audiobooks are just its own experience, and I prefer to kind of experience it that way as it is. Sometimes I will multitask while I'm listening to an audiobook. Like I'll be doing chores, or I will be playing like a game that's not too intensive, like something that's mindless, like we play like kind of like a match three type game or something like that, something that's not too intensive while I'm listening to an audiobook. That way I can focus more of my attention on the audiobook experience than getting distracted by other things. I definitely knew that the sixth question was coming, so yeah, I feel called out by this one. This is one book at a time or several at once? Always several at once. So even right now, as I'm wrapping up the month of September, I am reading between 7 or 8 different books at this point in time. It's multiple books at once, and it's a bad habit that I have. I really do need to kind of like lessen down the amount of books that I am reading at one time, because it gets to the point where I'm reading between 3 books, then 5 books, then 7 books, and then I've read between 20 books one time, and I'm like, okay, I need to put a stop on it, because otherwise, like, I'll be reading bits and pieces of the different books that I am reading at one time, and then none of them will get finished within a month. Like they'll be done, and it's not that like I'm in a book slump or anything. It's just I have the tendency to be able to pick up a book, read a little bit of it, then go to another book and say, "Ooh," kind of like a shiny little thing, and just keep going until I get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm reading between 20 at once. I need to narrow this down. So it's a bad habit that I've had for years, and I've talked about it on my blog quite a bit, but I'm trying to get to a point where I'm not book hopping as much and have a set designated list of books that I'm reading at one time, so that way I'm more likely to finish. So the seventh question on the reading habits tag is reading at home or everywhere. I will usually read everywhere, and everywhere includes home. So usually if I am on my way to work during the commute, or if I am taking a lunch break, or if I am sitting in an airport, or if I am in the middle of running errands, or if I go to the library, I will usually have a book with me. And it can be either a physical book and my e-reader, which is usually my Kindle Paperwhite, or if I have a magazine or something like that, I will usually carry something with me to read everywhere I go, including at home. The eighth question of the reading habits tag would be reading out loud or in your head. I usually read in my head. I very rarely, if ever, read out loud. Sometimes, and this is kind of like a thing that I do as both a reader and a writer. Like if I am proofing something, or if I'm checking something to see if it sounds right or makes sense, then I will read aloud to kind of like read it back to see if that makes sense. But usually, if I'm reading a full-fledged novel for pleasure, I will always read it in my head. Question 9 of the BookTube reading habits tag. Do you read ahead or even skip pages? Sometimes. Very rarely, if at all. It depends on what I'm reading. If it's something that I know that I've read before, then I'm more likely to skip to a certain scene and say, hey, like, this is a scene that I really enjoy and I'm already familiar with it. But if it's a book I'm reading for the first time and I'm not familiar with it, I will usually not skip pages, so because I don't want to be spoiled. Unless it's a book that I'm reading for academic purposes, then I will skip ahead to kind of like see things that I should be aware of if I'm trying to get an assignment done. Question number 10, breaking the spine or keeping it like new. Most of my books are pretty much in good or new condition, unless I buy the book used. And so usually, like if I'm buying a used book, I don't mind if the spine is already broken as long as I can read it and it's in good enough condition to where like I want to keep it on my shelves. But the vast majority of the time, my books are in pretty pristine condition, so I don't have that issue. And the last question, the 11th question of the booktube reading habits tag is, do you write in your books? Do I write in my books? I don't put that as a practice with respect to the books that I own, like because most of my books are in pristine newish condition. So if I do want to give them away to people who are in the community, or if I want to sell them and make more room on my shelves, then they're basically like new and they're in good condition for the next person to have. So long and short, I usually don't write in my books. And that is it for the booktube reading habits tag. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to support more of the things that I do on my channel here, please like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to get notification of when I post videos like this on my channel. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.